are here with Goldengate Warlock, otherwise known as Wally, and he is a registered drum horse. He is 3/4 Gypsy Cob and 1/4 Clydesdale, and he's 6 rising 7. He's been shown extensively in hand. He was a serving stallion up until recently when he was gelded to be sold, and he has been broken in and is suitable for beginners. But I feel like he has a limited education under saddle. Now, Wally did have a little mishap with his new owners when he arrived, so we're taking things very cautiously, but as you'll see in the following videos, his behaviour is actually quite good. So the main issue that I have with Wally is actually getting him to go forward, as it turns out, which can just be the sign of a horse being green. I'm not actually sure how long he's been broken into saddle for, or he may have just been training his riders that he goes slow and they just keep kicking him along, as he's actually really quite unresponsive to the leg and the whip. So that's something that we're going to have to work on. And as you can see, he's not straight, so he likes to fall out of the outside shoulder. He's not really keen on traveling forward consistently. Potentially hasn't actually learnt how to do a 20-meter circle, which is why he's struggling a little bit on the long reins today and keeps wanting to nap back to the gate. Now, I haven't videoed our entire training session because that's over 20 minutes long and I can't talk for that long. And you can see here, he is pulling me around the arena a little bit, and then he's wanting to turn into me. So my job is to try and be a little bit quicker, go with him and stay behind that shoulder, because he's trying to get to spin around, and if I let him, he would end up wrapping those long reins around himself, and then we'd really be in trouble. So I've got to go forward, stay behind the shoulder, and get control of him with my outside rein again. Now, I am struggling with that because he does just want to pull around and fall out of the outside shoulder or turn into me and swing his hindquarters out. So I just keep going with him, staying in line with or just behind that shoulder until he understands that he has no choice but to go forward. It's not my job to get in a fight with him, just I need to show him what I want. Now, I've incorporated the Kula Lunge into our training to try and help with the balance and the straightness. Right now, the Kula Lunge is not really doing much because this is the first time that he's wearing the Kula Lunge, so I've got it quite loose. So it's not really helping with the straightness, but in order for him to get used to the system, I'm not sure if he's even had side reins on. Well, he has had side reins on in terms of being shown, but I'm not sure if he's been worked in side reins or how he was broken in. So always err on the side of caution. Put the side reins on loosely to begin with. If you think your horse is going to be worried about the hindquarter sling, knot the side reins up and don't even attach them to begin with. My goal for this training session was to get Wally trotting a couple of decent circles in each direction. There was very limited chance of us getting canter today, but I did want him moving forward more freely and trotting entire circles before stopping. So now that he's done that on that side, and it did take a lot longer than what's shown in this video because I've edited quite a bit out because it's just the same stopping and going and it gets quite monotonous. So, but this is how training works. He just has to keep going forward. We have to ask for the same thing. When he doesn't give me the reaction that I want, I have to be like, no, that's not the reaction I want. Let's try this again. I can adjust where I'm standing. I can try moving around with him a little bit more. I can put the whip in front of me. I can crack the whip behind me. He doesn't really listen to my voice commands, as you can see, either. So all of these things need to be taught. So when I perform an action, he needs to understand what the correct reaction is to that action rather than him just going and doing his own thing. So he's just learning right now, and this is part of the learning process. So it's okay that he's not wanting to go forward because this is where he's at with his training. But the problem is this is also where he's at under saddle with his training. It doesn't get any better under saddle if he's not going to travel forward on the long reins. And then again, that's the gate in that corner where he was stopping again. And you'll see him pushing out towards the gate, which is in the corner. Again, I'll just keep urging him forward. Lunge whips are great if you can crack them. You won't be able to hear the sound, but I am trying to crack it. So the point is to get him going forward. He is really unresponsive to the whip under saddle, and you want to get the horse going forward with the lightest aids possible, not coming at it with all guns blazing. Now you see he's actually quite a lot quicker to get going on this side than the other side. So this is possibly our second time in this direction, because as I said, I've edited quite a bit of the video, but I just find him much easier traveling to the left than the right. So he is wanting to be on that left shoulder. So going to the right, he was pushing out of that left shoulder, whereas going to the left, he's coming in on that left shoulder, but it means he's traveling around nicely on the circle. And that's making it easier for me to get him to go forward. Now, I'm not a huge fan of walk poles because there's no moment of suspension in the walk, so I don't know that walk poles really do a lot for the pace. However, they were set up for a different exercise, so I thought I'd walk him over them and just see how he goes. And he's either just very cool about trying new things, or he's done poles before, which I will suspect that he's actually done some wall trot poles before. So I'm just gonna send him over them a couple of times just to get him doing some more straight lines now as well, so he's not just going in circles. And so that this training session doesn't become completely monotonous for him. I like the fact that he's starting to stretch down now into the contact rather than traveling in that hollow frame. So he started to lift up through the thoracic sling, which is a group of muscles in the shoulders, and he's definitely engaging his hindquarters more. But he is hard work, especially in trot, he's hard work to steer. He's easier in walk. So these heavy horses naturally like to lead with their shoulder, and if people let them, that's what happens. So they have to be taught not to lead with their shoulder more than other types of, well, other breeds of horse. I think it's because they were originally designed to pull things rather than carry a rider. So yeah, again, back to the right, and he's wanting to stop again. But you're seeing that he is starting to trot up more freely in this direction now. And he is lifting and carrying himself better. So judging from the videos I've seen with the previous owner, excuse me, he has had no dressage training at all. He has just been ridden around. And then we're not even sure if he's been canted under saddle. So to finish off, because he is still stopping and I'm finding it difficult to keep him going for a full circle, I've decided to do some little directional changes. Sometimes when a horse won't go forward under saddle, rather than whipping it or just kicking it incessantly, they tend to just puff out against you and hold. You need to move their feet. So I'm applying that same theory here with him. Is every time he stops, I'm going to turn him and change direction and then ask him to go forward again. So rather than continuously chasing him and working extremely hard. So this is good in terms of practicing his steering as well. And then it's moving his feet and trying to get him to think forward without me having to work so hard. And you can see me there cracking the whip, and then it's napping for the gate. So I've got to straighten him up again with the outside rein, then get him to trot again. So this was a hard training session for me as well. Like, he worked hard and I worked hard. But this is training. This is what training is. Not all horses just understand how to go forward. They're not all just straight, and they're all come from different origins. This horse has come from an origin where he feels like he's had a limited amount of work under saddle, but is quite well trained in hand. So this is what we have to work with. And so I haven't edited out any of the unruly behaviour. I wouldn't call it bad behaviour. He's not trying to be difficult. He just hasn't been shown a different way. So this is today's training session. All I've done is cut down the video so that it's not completely monotonous. So if you found this helpful, please subscribe to our channel, Kula Lunge. Thank you for watching.